Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content, and new episodes are released most Wednesdays. So back off, man. We're professionals. Listener discretion is advised.
So you were in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah?
Were you in the shit?
Yeah, I was in shit.
Last night, Darth Vader came down from planet Vulcan and told me that if I didn't take Lorraine out, that he'd melt my brain.
Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Hello and welcome once again to the New Way podcast, where we break down pop culture so you don't have to. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Matthew Shank. I am joined actually side by side in the studio, which doesn't happen as much as it should right now, by Mr. Benjamin Scott Wilson.
Oh, hi.
Hello. Sporting a ridiculously gorgeous bald mane right now. It is shiny.
The
and
anti-mane.
Wonderful. I love it. It's fantastic. And we are joined via the internet by longtime contributor, superfan, and enemy of the podcast, Ryan Alexander Hamilton. How's it going, Ryan?
It's good. I'm in a bit of a panic. It's been so long that I forgot how any of this works. So I'm here.
That sounds strangely familiar, Ryan.
That's a real strong energy coming in at the top of this podcast. I love it. I love that.
I'm nothing if not strong energy.
I like that that's Ryan's energy on the being on air for the podcast, but his off the air energy is, God, this podcast is terrible. Why did you make these decisions? And I hate everything you've done right now. I disagree with all of it, but mostly the things I say.
Listen, I have a public face and a private face, and an O face.
And
I only share some of those with certain people.
That's I'm glad I've only seen 4 of them. Now to be not to diminish having Ryan on here, but we do have another guest in studio making his 3rd appearance on the New Way podcast, which for us is kind of like the SNL 5 Timers Club. Once you make it to 3 appearances, you're one of us.
You're officially a contributor, right?
You're a contributor, and we're going to treat you unfairly so. But Mr. Scott Wilson, Ben's dad, is in the studio with us tonight.
Wearing a black tie.
Yes, he is in a
occasion.
full tuxedo, which is a bold move, a very bold move.
Yes.
Sipping on a wonderful smoked old fashioned. By the way, if you ever want to be on the New Way in studio, we make some nice cocktails or snacks, whatever you're looking for. We bring you in there.
What?
Ryan, don't you
I've
remember?
never been provided a cocktail in studio.
I'm sorry, I beg to differ.
We just give you a tall boy of High Lie and say, "Have fun, Ryan."
No. The
Yeah.
last time
Sparkly
Ryan,
water.
the last time Ryan was in the studio, we did a blind taste test of Hard Mountain Dews.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you telling me those are high class cocktails?
When Scott Wilson comes, we make fine smoked old fashioned, and when Ryan Alexander comes, we drink the worst alcohol I've ever had in my. By the way, it is so bad. People were over at my house last weekend, and that 12-pack untouched was still here, and some of them very drunk in the evening tried to do it, and they're like, "This is not drinkable. What? Like, just pour this out." Like, alcoholics are like, "No."
Ryan, just so you know, this is a damn good drink.
Well, I was going to be very complimentary, Scott. I was going to say if there's a juxtaposition of somebody that deserves the best and somebody that deserves the worst, it's you and me. But that felt like a personal attack now.
No.
So
I will say,
rescind
I was
that.
just stating the truth.
I for a second, I thought that you were about to throw some shade at me. I was just like, "Come on, man."
No, you're already bald. I can't do much more.
It's true.
I will say at some point, somewhere in the future, super fan and creator of the New Way drinking game, Patrick, will be here. And when I tell you the amount of alcohol and terrible things I'm going to make him drink during that 1.5 hours on this podcast, it would kill a normal human man, but I think he'll be able to take it. But he will not be the same by the end of that podcast as he is by the beginning, because he nearly killed me with that drinking game when we did it over.
Listen,
3 years ago.
just saw Patrick as close to death as he probably could have been at his bachelor party last weekend. So that's when Ben decided to text me and ask if I wanted to be on this. So it's a very reasonable reason that I completely forgot until about 10 minutes ago when Ben texted me.
I was like, hey, Ryan, you want to talk about 1982? I should have known just from its 4 letters. Sure. Like no other response. You just looked at your phone and you were like, that's a good idea.
And here's the thing. I like in my head, what was left of
your brain cells.
Yeah, the part that hadn't gone smooth. I was like, sure, they'll like send me a text or something. I didn't think it would be a 5-minute warning. I didn't even have time for makeup.
In fairness, I did confirm your involvement earlier than this, and make sure that. And then Ben goes, "I got it." And I go, okay, you know what? I trust Ben to give Ryan proper time.
I mentioned
to
it twice. I asked him once, and I mentioned it again later, and I thought that was enough.
Well, and there is a.
You can ask Kristen.
I
assume he'll have it on the schedule. Doesn't work. It gets me in a lot of trouble.
There is a synergy of why Ryan and Ben are on the podcast tonight. We'll get to that when we get to the topic. But before we get there, I do have a few points of order to go through.
Buried the lead.
Absolutely. Well, again, when we always, this is one of my favorite things about the New Way is we play coy about the topic as if it's not the title
we
of
know
the
what it
episode.
Or you just completely lose it in the conversation.
Or Ryan gets upset, sees what the topic is, listens to half the episode and goes, I don't know what these people are fucking talking about right now, and then yells at us about it, which is amazing as well. But before we get into our topic, I want to bring up a couple of things. So the last time Scott was on the show was August 4th of last year, and one of the questions I asked you, Scott, was what's Georgia's chance of taking a national title this year? And you played it cool, but as we know through history and through Ben saying it was kind of a boring, national title win that he went to. What were your feelings about the Georgias last season?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, we waited 41 years between national championships and then, 11 months and 30 days or whatever. But it was awesome. I mean, the national championship game was the semifinal, the Ohio State game.
Yeah, the Ohio State game was the game.
That was a great game. And, that was maybe we didn't deserve to win that, but I think we were the best team in the country, week in and week out, and it was sure fun watching them play.
Did you enjoy? Now, Ben famously has said that the national title game.
Do not misquote me.
All right, what is your?
Here is exactly what I have said. Okay. I have said I was happy that I made that weekend more about than just the game, as I was originally intending. I was originally intending on literally flying out, going to the game, and flying back. And for the money that would have been spent on that, after the fact, I would have said, well, that was kind of a waste.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah,
that is what I said.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said. Follow with the "oh, good for you." But,
well, second national championship game isn't worth traveling for.
What you guys may not know is that was my birthday and Christmas present to Ben. So,
Oh, we know. That's what makes it.
Yeah. I like that you turned it around on him. You did like the old kid trick where if you want something really expensive, it can just be like both my present. It would be like birthday and Christmas.
Let's just say, okay, Dad. Let's be fair. Dad, you contributed to the fun. That trip was way more expensive than that. So it was pricey.
Damn, Ben, can't you just let him have it?
No.
Where the hell did you stay?
It wasn't worth the money that I didn't even pay.
I stayed under a bridge.
Well, that's half of LA.
That's half of LA. That's actually 5-star accommodations in some parts of LA.
First of all, don't talk about
There's some
Nick's
really
home
nice
that
bridges.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Nick lives under a great bridge, and he's a great troll friend, and we all know it. But
I still remember, like when we went out in 2012 for the first time, and when Matt and I went together to visit LA, we're like, this bridge is really nice. It's beautiful under here.
Nick, do you think they'll have apartments here in a few years? He's like, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know. It's kind of a
Fingers
weird,
crossed.
kind of a dicey part of bridge.
I do like that Ben's one of the few people that shares my bad birthday time of year, which is that I have grown up accustomed in my life having a birthday on January 3rd to getting birthday Christmas presents. And what happened in my household was the reverse probably of Ben's. But what happened in mine is my parents would put the presents out under the tree. And then on Christmas Eve, they'd be like, oh, shit. And they would take 2 of them out from under the tree and put them back in the closet and then hold on to them until we got to January 3rd, when it was my actual birthday. And they'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, why are my birthday presents wrapped in Santa Claus paper? And they're like, oh, Santa celebrates your birthday too. And I'm like, that doesn't track, but that's fine. That's good. We'll just combine all of these things together. I don't hold any animosity towards this, and I'm not in therapy about it, I promise.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like there's any trauma there.
No. Zero trauma. So I don't know if any, and I'm asking this because I like when Scott is here and we've got Ryan and we've got Ben. These are the sports.
Those
versus,
are the people on this one.
The sports versus movie side of things is very heavily on the sports end of things. So I will ask, because I don't know if anyone else is firmly up to date. Did anyone else finish out Ted Lasso this season?
Oh,
or
yes.
Not?
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
Ben, would you be upset if we talked a little?
No, it's fine.
Ted
Go
Lasso
ahead.
shop, but I'm very curious. Whatever. I know a lot of people seem to be not very happy with season 3 of Ted Lasso. I did not have an issue with it at all. I thought it was very clear where they were going with it, and they played out the whole, Wizard of Oz theme with it pretty much to a T by the end of it. And I was fine with it. But what did you guys think of it?
I loved it. I mean, I was kind of ambivalent about halfway through the season, but starting with the episode where the Nigerian was trying to co-opt everybody and form a super league. Starting with that episode, I thought it was a phenomenal, into a great series. I mean, we loved it. We lived for it.
I'm glad to hear. What about you, Ryan?
So overall, I really liked it. I think the season was, after season 1, it all kind of became just uneven, not in like a terrible way that I couldn't watch it. It just, it was what it was. It wasn't going to live up to the hype of season 1 that just delivered flat out. Season 2, 3, 4, like it just, shows start to have expectations as they go on. And it kind of, ran into what they all run into. Overall, I really liked the season. The only thing, and I'm sorry, Ben, and this isn't even a spoiler, the only thing that really kind of bugged me was they spent so long villainizing Nate.
Yeah.
And then just magically in one episode, everybody loved him again, and he's back and humble and great because he got a girlfriend. And, that I feel like they just blew through that so quickly.
I thought I'd beg to differ. I thought they brought him back slowly. I mean, even while he was the coach of West Ham or whatever, that they were kind of bringing him the human side of Nate back a little bit. But I loved when what's his name,
Beard. I was gonna say that the Beard moment with him is what saves Nate's recovery.
Wow.
In that show, to really have someone be like, listen. What and also tying into what the show has been about from the beginning, which is this idea of wearing your emotions on your sleeve, being upfront about emotions, being upfront about pain, about forgiveness, about all of these things. I really like that they tie that into this Beard story that we've never gotten before on the show, of kind of like his thing, because Beard is us, right? Beard's the one person that like everyone else is like, hey, Nate's okay now, come on back, and Beard's like, fuck no, like screw that guy. He's an asshole. He doesn't deserve any of this. And for Lasso to be like, right, but are we being like honest about this? And yeah, he's been a dick. He's done these terrible things on. But also, I'm also going to put it. I'm going to pose it a little bit on also the other side of it. Is Nate really a fucking villain to go and take the coaching position at a Premier League team
It
out
was
there,
never
and that's
about taking
that,
the job.
Yeah,
It was how he did it.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
And to what Scott was saying, I agree that like they set the redemption arc up quite a bit. What bugged me was they turned him being accepted by the team into one episode, and I
Sure.
kind of wish they had fleshed that out more instead of having everything just fit together in a nice little
yeah, I get
package
that.
in one episode. That kind of bugged me. Like, I loved the beard part. I wish they would have. God, that would have been like an awesome like 2-episode arc.
Yeah,
Any of that, like,
I'm with you on that. I hear you.
I liked some of the. What was the episode where they went to
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam.
That was a
great.
great
It reminded me
episode.
of the season 2 episode where Beard just goes on his drug binge. And
That was the single weirdest episode of the 3 seasons.
it was so weird, but I loved it.
I mean, Roy Kent teaching Jamie Tartt. I'm sorry, Jamie Tartt teaching Roy Kent how to ride a bike is one of the most inspired, just silliness things that has existed on TV.
Yeah, the
yeah.
Roy Kent Jamie Tartt bromance is
Also-
like the best thing to come out of the show.
Also, the Jamie Tartt arc being, if you had told me in season 1 that I would give a shit about it, it is. I'm gonna say something very controversial. Like, I can see Ben looking at me through the monitor right now. What Jamie Lannister's arc should have been on Game of Thrones is done better and more perfectly with Jamie Tartt in Ted Lasso. It is one of the greatest villain redemption arcs, and I will call Jamie Tartt a villain of season 1. He is absolutely against everything the show is going for that season about all of the idealism and positivity. He is the antithesis to that, and he completely turns that around and does the most satisfying 180 I've seen on TV in years, in my opinion.
Amen.
I think that's a great point.
I
like that
agree.
a lot.
So sorry. All right. So I have put together, I'm going to say it right now, the most controversial game I have ever put together on the New Way podcast. Now, I see Ryan bracing for this, but here's the funny thing. I think my bet, if I'm betting between the 3 horses I see in front of me right now,
What did you call me?
hung like a horse's, I see before me right now. I think Ryan is going to sweep this game. I very rarely bet on Ryan 100%, but I think Ryan is going to eat this game up. I think Scott is not
Ryan.
going to.
That hurts my feelings.
He's not. I don't know that he's going to be quite into it, and I think Ben is going to be the most angered by this game. So here is the game, gentlemen.
So it's going to go opposite of that.
Yes, probably. I could be.
Ryan's going to kill this, and it's absolute trash. I'm going to be terrible.
So here is the game, gentlemen. Because I said I like to involve sports when I have 3 such athletes in front of me as I do right now, I am going to name you a fictional sports team from movies, TVs, video games, or books, and you're going to tell me what property they hail from.
I hate this
So-
already. I should be good at this, and I'm going to be so bad at it.
Go you Huskies.
So if, for example, I said the Rockville Peaches, you might say,
A League of
A
Their
League of
Own.
Their Own.
all right, well, that's 1 down. If I were to say, I'm going to do
Mighty
this one
Ducks.
because Nick is not on the podcast and he's the one that would expect to get this. The Miami Gators.
Ace Ventura.
No,
No,
No.
The Miami Gators.
it's actually the Dolphins in
it is actual Dolphins in that one.
Ace Ventura.
Also a fictional football team in real life, but
Hey-o.
Hey, oh, not anymore.
But Miami Gators from a trilogy of movies that is much beloved on this podcast and around the world from
Mighty
the 80s.
Ducks.
Nope, not correct.
That was a joke.
It's Back to the Future 2. They win the World Series against the Cubs, the Miami Gators. They are a fictional team.
No.
That's a deep cut.
Okay,
That
how
is-
about the...
That's a Biff cut. Was he betting that game?
No, it's the part where he like walks up and he sees. He's like the Cubs.
They won in 2015.
The Cubs win.
Right.
How about the Springfield Isotopes?
Simpsons.
There we
Oh,
go.
that was, yeah.
How about the Milwaukee Beers?
Oh, that's a basketball.
Basketball.
That is correct. How about the Monstars?
Space Jam.
There it is.
Oh, I knew that.
How about the Average Joes?
Oh,
Dodgeball.
yeah.
Correct.
Dang it.
How about the Dillon Panthers?
Friday Night Lights.
There it is.
I don't want your life.
No, that's not the
TV.
same thing. How dare you did that?
No, it's Varsity Blues. I know. Sorry.
How dare you? It was the one that was
Wait.
teed up
So
for
Friday
you.
Night Lights. So in the real life,
It was Friday Night Lights, the TV show.
So yeah, but I was about to say Friday Night Lights. The actual book is the Permian Panthers. So
Yes.
they changed it to Dillon for the TV show.
Yes.
Also,
But they used Pflugerville High School. So the logos, uniforms, everything, it's Pflugerville High School, just like north of Austin.
No, I know where Pflugerville is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Ben, I'm not
Yeah, so they
going to
just-
give our listeners the book one because obviously they're just about the TV or movie versions.
The book and the movie were both Permian Panthers. Out in Odessa.
While we're out in the same region, how about the Texas State Armadillos?
Oh, Unnecessary Roughness.
Yes!
I was about to say
Yes!
it. I knew it
knew
too.
Ryan was
That's where
going to
I
win
fell in
this
love
one.
with Kathy Ireland.
And Matt, I am skunked.
That's where that's where I fell in love with Scott Bakula.
I knew Ryan was going to eat this one up. All right, how about the Bedrock Boulders?
Flintstones?
Yep. Wow, Ben's hot on that one. All right, this is a tricky one. How about the Capitol Congressman?
The Replacements.
No,
Oh.
it is not a movie or a TV show or a book, but a video game.
Oh, what was the one? What was the one where?
Dragon.
Where you could throw the bombs and shit.
The one where they have the robots. that
No,
you
no,
can
it is
upgrade their arms.
not. It is not a football game. I will give you that hint.
Well, there's a baseball version of that.
Blades of Steel.
No, it is Fallout 3 featured
Oh,
the
yeah.
Capitol Congressman.
How did I not know that? I'm
How
like the biggest
about-
Fallout 3 fan in the
Right,
world.
Scott, you might be the only one that in the room that will get this one.
Yeah,
it is a tricky one.
Throw me a bone.
How
please.
about the Mudville 9?
Oh, that is. Oh my God, Philip Roth's.
Yeah, the bat.
That. Oh my God, Ryan got that one too.
What did he get? What?
Casey at the bat. I would never have
God,
bet on
that's
you on
right.
that one. That is amazing, Ryan. Holy shit.
That's big time.
That is crazy, Ryan. I see. I bet on the right horse on this one. All right. How about the Washington Sentinels?
That's a replacement.
That is correct. That is the Replacements. How about the... I can't believe this is the actual name of the team in this.
The
thing.
Replacements.
No. The West Canaan High School Coyotes.
Varsity Blues.
That is Varsity Blues.
Now you can say I don't want your life. Or you can
But I
just say,
do.
you're a 10. It's 10.
There's some real problematic quotes from that movie
Yes.
that you can't really say anymore that I've spent too much time saying.
Now, this is a tricky one. This is the second Miami team we're going to feature on here. This is the Miami Sharks.
Oh, come on. Hold on one second. Al Pacino.
Yep.
Any given Sunday.
That is correct. That is correct. How about the Minnesota Screaming Eagles?
Minnesota Screaming.
The program?
Nope.
Oh,
That's a really good guess,
Coach?
though.
Coach is correct. God, I knew I bet on the right horse. The Screaming Eagles with Coach Hayden Fox. Amazing. How about the Eastern State University Timberwolves?
Go you Huskies. I don't know.
Eastern State University Timberwolves. You guys might have
No, we-
very recently guessed it. That is a stand for FSU in a movie called
the program.
The Program.
The program, okay.
Yes.
Seat at the table.
How about the South Central Louisiana State University Mud Dogs?
That's the water bug.
That is
water
Waterboy,
bug.
the water bug.
Yeah.
That's correct.
The water bugs.
The water bugs.
How about
pretty good sports name.
the sequel to the Ladybugs was the Water Bugs?
It's probably a minor league baseball team somewhere,
Yeah.
if we're being honest.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
about the Halifax Highlanders?
That sounds super familiar.
I'll tell you the sport is
Bend it like Beckham.
hockey.
It's
Wait.
not Mighty Ducks.
No.
It's not Mystery Alaska, obviously.
No, that's the mystery something that was too obvious, and the Mighty
Yeah.
Ducks was too obvious. But Halifax Highlander is a very good, very, very good.
Oh,
hockey movie.
Miracle.
Miracle?
No,
No, wait.
Miracle will be the United States national
Yeah,
hockey
I know.
team.
I was like,
Is it Goon?
It is Goon.
All right.
Ben is on the board. How about this
the
one?
guy.
How am I on the board? I got 4 right.
How about this one? Charleston Chiefs. Also hockey.
Oh my god!
And Scott
I'm gonna
might
let
be
y'all have this
more
one.
Scott might be more attuned to this one than the other gentleman in the room. But
I'm
a
gonna
very
give Scott
famous.
a second.
I know.
Come on.
He's got
You
it.
sit in a
It's
penalty
on-
box,
It's
you
there.
feel
It's
ashamed.
there. It's there.
Paul Newman.
Yes, you are correct.
Um,
You know the movie.
the brothers. Wow.
You've got everything about it but the title.
The Hansons.
The Hanson
The
Brothers.
Hanson
yeah.
brothers. Yeah.
If I were to just smack you across the face, you might say you were. It's Slapshot. Okay, that was a
Slapshot.
terrible way to pin that one on. All right, here's a tricky
I was gonna
one.
let Scott have it.
Here's a tricky one.
Thank you.
The
It was
the East Compton Clovers.
Bring it on.
Yes! God damn it!
Bring it on.
I knew you. I knew you were the one. I knew it. I absolutely knew
I
it.
just like how Matt's so much more excited than Ryan is. Ryan's just like, meh.
Because I knew Ryan was gonna sit there and be like, boop, boop,
Ryan.
boop.
I'm
knew
gonna
it.
resend that gift out to you. I mean, I'm so impressed.
It's
All right, this one's
That's like,
it's painfully obvious I need something else to do.
well, you know, when he wasn't busy getting his degree at Texas A&M, he was minoring in fictional sports characters and teams.
My favorite one is Philip Ross, The Great American Novels, Rupert Mondays, which was fictionally the worst baseball team in the history of baseball.
This is in Casey at the Bat, right? Or no?
No.
Oh.
The Great American Novel by Philip Ross.
You said it right there, Matt.
I screwed that one up. That's
It
on
was
me.
there.
All right. The next two are kind of easy, but they're two of my favorite sports movies, so I have to do them. The North Dallas Bulls,
North Dallas 40.
correct, and the Durham Bulls.
Bull Durham.
Bull
Yeah, I had to do those ones. How about the New York Knights?
Oh, that's
The Natural.
Robert Redford, The Natural. Yeah.
God damn, you guys,
I swear.
killing
Ryan.
it.
Jeez.
My God. He's just under his breath. He knew it. He's like, I got this one. Down. All right. Okay, Ryan. How about the Taft Rockets versus the Bakersfield Tigers?
I
one
know
don't.
what it is. I know what it is.
You got it? Do you remember the name?
I don't know it. No, I don't know.
I made Ben watch this movie. It's one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Maybe my favorite.
Oh, never
sports
mind. I'm
movie of all
wrong.
time.
I'm wrong. Then.
Oh, then maybe not. I made you and Beth watch this movie, and it turns out it's one movie that Luke Stevens and I agree on. Starring Kurt Russell and Robin Williams. All right, that's not helping anyone. It's called The Best of Times.
Best of Times.
It is a 80s movie about a guy that goes to try and recreate his high school football team. It's great. It's phenomenal. No one got that one. 0 points to everyone involved. How about the Rydell High Rangers?
Oh. Rydell High.
Oh, you know that?
He should know that.
This rings a bell.
It absolutely should.
Rydell High. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
He's got it.
John Travolta.
That's correct. Say it. Just do it.
What is it?
Grease.
Yes. Speaking of which, I will be appearing in Greece at the Delray
This
Beach
whole thing was just a
Playhouse
pitch.
in
This one elaborate setup.
Everyone
to
just
pitch
stop
himself.
again.
And I would like to introduce our sponsor, Gulfstream Park, because I've said horse 14,000 times already. And every time I say horse, they give me 14 cents.
Speaking of Greece, I will be appearing at the Delray Beach Playhouse production of Greece the last 3 weekends of August and the first weekend of September. Get your tickets now, available online at Delray Beach Playhouse. All right, you know what? We've done enough of this one. Ben, there were a couple for you. Do you know who the Roswell Greys were on?
The X-Files?
That's correct. Do you know who the Los Angeles Diablos were on?
Diablo 6. No.
No.
Okay.
It's
no football in
Bedazzled. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, actually, there's two important to me. One is the Polk High School Panthers.
Married with Children.
There it is. Okay,
Oh,
good for
yeah,
that one.
that's a good one.
And was there one? The Los Angeles Stallions. From a Shane Black penned movie from the 90s.
Shane Black pen movie from the 90s.
His lesser of the buddy cop movies that he did in the 90s. The least of the buddy cop movies he did. In between Lethal Weapons.
Oh,
With
wow.
Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis. The Last Boy Scout.
Oh,
It
Last
takes
Boy
place
Scout.
at
Right.
a Super Bowl at the end.
Wow.
That was that. So okay, that you guys did phenomenally well with that game, especially
Is that the one
Ryan.
where he shoots him, the
Ryan.
running back shoots the linebacker?
That's correct. It's basically the same premise as the end of The Naked Gun, but it's played serious, and it's kind of amazing.
So,
So,
since are we getting into the topic now?
yes, please. We're about half an hour in.
Well, so actually, interestingly enough, I find it so funny that you decided to just go full on sports for this because I had a strange, funny game I wanted to introduce here.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Call Patrick. Get Patrick
If you
in
have
on this. He
not-
loves sports.
I want to play a game.
If you have not already noticed that what we are talking about today is both Ryan and I, our birth year, 1982. Correct? You were born in 1982.
That's what they tell
Ryan.
me.
Yes, that's what the hat says.
I don't remember it much.
That's what
but
his mom lies to him about. But yeah,
Yeah. All I know is that you celebrated your 40th birthday slightly before I did.
I did.
All I
That
can
is
say
accurate.
is, Ben, you're welcome.
So yes, thank you, Dad. Thank you for the gift of life. Anyways,
Should I call my dad? You think Tony wants to be on the show?
listen, it's almost Father's Day. I'm just feeling a little emotional here. No, so interestingly enough, though, there were multiple reasons why I wanted to talk about 1982. One, I knew that my dad was going to be here. Two, Ryan agreed that he would be on the podcast.
Allegedly.
Yes, apparently this happened. Apparently, some sort of electrons went through the atmosphere. But the thing is you're here now, and I had this idea that I wanted to. Now, before we talk about any of these movies, so this is before we're gonna get into the things that we think about 1982, what we consider it as a year. We are going to have a movie draft. This is going to be a snake-style movie draft where the four of us basically are going to go through the list of movies from 1982. And we're going to go from youngest to oldest. So it's going to be me, Ryan, Matt, Dad. But my dad gets 4 and 5. So it's going to go snake style and then back the other direction.
I'm sorry, I don't know what snake style
Snake
means.
style.
What
So
is this?
basically, it's like a list. Okay,
It's fantasy football draft.
So I'll go.
It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So basically, like it sounds like the person who gets the first pick is like gets the movie. So the idea here is that once a movie is picked, it is off the list. Now
Okay.
these are your desert island movies. All
Okay.
the other movies will cease to exist. You can never watch them again. They never existed. These are the movies that you want to exist for you in your 1982 of your own history. So once you've picked the movie is picked, it's completely off the list.
Okay.
So my dad is going to pick 4th, but he also gets the 5th pick. And it goes back the other direction.
It's
to
got
me.
age discrimination.
So-
I'm
No, so we're gonna go through 4. We're gonna go through 4 rounds here, basically
4 rounds.
4 rounds,
All right.
just 4 rounds. So that means we're all gonna pick 4 movies, and those are gonna be the movies that we get to keep on our list from 1982.
Swear to God, if either you two fuck me on this one, I am going to never be friends with you ever again.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
So we're gonna start. I get to pick the first film from 1982. I am going to eliminate The Thing.
Okay.
That's the
Wait,
movie I'm
eliminate.
taking.
You're
I'm picking
taking
the
The Thing.
Yeah, for
He's
everybody
taking The
else. The Thing is mine.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so on to Ryan. Ryan, what movie would you like to hold on to? Please pick E.T. so I can see the tears fall down Matt's face.
I'm torn. It's going to be either that one. You know what I am? Because I think my next one will come back to me, so I'm going to go E.T.
All right.
Right,
Ryan,
nice.
Ryan with ET. Okay, Matt officially quit. Matt officially quits the podcast. You knew one of us was going to take it. Come on, it's
You know what?
it's
gave you-
inarguably one of the top 2 movies.
I gave you the best game of your entire life, Ryan, and you steal ET from me on my deathbed on the desert island. I hate you. We're dead. You're dead to me. You're
Okay.
absolutely
You can,
dead to
you
me.
Matt-
can hang out on my desert island.
All right. Well, God damn it. I
Matt-
don't even care about the rest of these. I might as well just pick Grease too.
If it makes you feel
Speaking
any
of which,
better,
by
I
the
I
way,
mean, it does have Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Speaking
so.
of which, I will be appearing in Grease 1 at the Delray Beach podcast in August and
Horse.
Here. I honestly, Ben, I can't tell you how much I don't care about anything else on this list, to be honest, at this time, other than that. But push come to shove, I'm going to take Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Really?
I
Yeah.
like it.
Interesting.
good choice.
Amy,
First of
Hecker.
all, listen, I'm on a desert island. All the rest of you have got your ETs, and I have
Phoebe
the beautiful
Cates.
Phoebe
You have
Cates,
Phoebe
and
Cates.
my life
Spicoli.
is great. So you all can come over once a week if you want to and enjoy the Phoebe Cates. But
Dad
that's mine.
Spicoli and Phoebe Cates do two completely different things here.
Yeah.
So
Speak for yourself, Ben. They're part and parcel for me.
okay. Yeah, I mean. All right, Dad. So you get pick number 4. Is it going to be the verdict?
I'm really kind of holding out that y'all won't have any interest in.
Oh,
it.
don't
Yeah,
be
he's
so
smart.
don't
He's
be
smart.
so
He's smart.
sure.
Smart.
Don't be so sure. But
so-
you remember you get 4 and 5. So
I
you
know,
get
I'm gonna go Gandhi
Ooh.
and
Okay.
the Elephant Man.
Was Elephant Man in 82?
I think so. Might have been. I hope it.
I
Wasn't
think it
released
was
in
81.
I
might
did
wanna
not
check.
have that on my list. You could be correct, but I did not have that on my
Let's
list.
wait. Let's go to the judges.
Go to the judges.
What year was the Elephant Man
80.
released?
80.
80.
Okay.
80.
Well,
Yeah, so that movie
Scott's
was not.
video store was a
I was
little
about to say
behind
the
the times. When Jimmy's picks for 1982 came up,
All right, I'll
and he
go.
put Elephant Man on there.
All right, Chariots of Fire.
Oh, that's 81.
That's 81.
But it was still trending in 82. I could almost
Give
count
it
it
to
because
him.
it was still going
Give
well.
it to him.
You could take it if you
No,
wanted.
no, that's all right. I will go with. I'm thinking hard.
There's one on here that I'm surprised nobody is jumping at yet, but we'll see.
I'll go with Tootsie.
Ah, God damn it. That's the one.
Yeah,
that
that's a
was
good
going to be
one.
my next one. All right.
All right, so back to Matt.
All right. So I'm the first. So Scott was his first pick of round 2 was Tootsie.
Tootsie, yeah, I'm keeping track of it
Okay,
here.
I'm doing similar just so I know what's going on. All right, I am going to take. I'm not going to do. There's one on here that I absolutely want on my list, but I don't think anyone else is going to take it. So I'm going to go with Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's a good pick. All right, Ryan.
So if we're picking based on what is
You like. Yeah.
yeah, like what pertinent to my childhood movies
Yes.
that mean something to me. My next one is Porky's.
There we
All
go.
right.
There we go. Well
Yes.
done. Well done.
That is a really good one.
Ryan and I will trade off between Fast Times and Porky's.
So-
we'll have an exchange
So I
program
wasn't
going
concerned
on.
about your Fast Times bit. I was like,
Ryan, that's a pretty good one for young adults as well.
Yeah.
listen, I've made it very clear about my feelings on
So-
Porky's here. I got a childhood of getting to watch movies like that because my dad appreciated that kind of comedy.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I hate to double up on horror, but I'm gonna make mine Poltergeist.
Oh,
Damn it.
God damn it.
I was hoping that would slip past.
I was hoping
I
that
should have
too.
I should have taken Poltergeist and then Porky's.
And then my first of round 3, I think, is gonna be Diner.
Ooh. Going for that Baltimore side.
Yeah, going for the Baltimore, going for the Barry Levinson.
And we're back to Ryan now, who's obviously choosing the Beastmaster because he is a
Obviously.
rhino.
Because there are only 37 movies released in 1982 that are the exact same thing. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna take. Let me make sure I don't get called out here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, be careful.
It's
I'm
a
gonna-
technicality.
I'm gonna go First Blood.
Oh, that's a really that was a really good pick.
I'll trade you First Blood for Poltergeist.
No.
That's an unfair trade.
I'll give you First Blood and my fourth for Poltergeist.
But couldn't you see Stallone just being like, you moved the graves, but not the bodies. Yeah.
What's that?
No fucking clue what that was.
What's that? Sylvester Schwarzenegger?
That was
Yeah,
that was
I
an
was like,
amalgamation
that was
of
a
that was Conan Rambo having a stroke.
That's not the film choice. Sylvester
Patrick can
Stallone.
tell you
no, you
about
know.
Patrick can tell you about how a Schwarzenegger imitation goes poorly on stage. We went and
Oh gosh.
saw a show where I got dragged on stage.
I
and
have
had to
seen
be
this. It is
Schwarzenegger.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I biffed it so hard, and the guy was He wanted me to be the Schwarzenegger so bad.
Oh, nice.
So I need clarification, Ben. We only get 2 more picks, right? It's only 4, not 5 movies.
It's 4.
We get on our island. All right.
Unless we get to the end of it and we want to do one more. But-
I would probably love to do one more, but I'm gonna err on the side of I'm gonna save one for last that I think no one else is gonna choose. But I'm gonna go next for mine. I gotta go Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
There you go.
All right.
You're back to
Dad.
me, right?
Yeah, back to you.
All right. Well, I do have to go to one of my favorite movies ever. And when we're cutting this production short tonight,
We are.
Matt and I are going to go watch The Verdict.
All right.
By the way, Scott, I am absolutely preparing to watch. We're gonna fix another old fashioned. I'm gonna watch The Verdict with you tonight. I commit
gosh.
to this. I commit to it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
Dad, you get one more because
This is your
we're
4.
backing up.
This is your.
By the way, I'm gonna make the executive decision. We're going to 5. We're gonna do 5 on this. We need a top 5
Okay,
for our
okay.
desert island.
Thank
you.
you.
Got 2 more picks.
Thank you for bogarting my game. Yes.
That's absolutely correct.
All right.
All right. I'm going to go a little off script here.
Emmanuel in Space.
Emmanuel in Space is classic, but my favorite year.
My favorite year. Okay.
nice.
No, that's actually that's a really good one.
I like that. Knowing that I have another couple, I'm going to go with The Secret of Nim.
Oh man, you stole mine. That's the first one I feel bad about.
Yeah. I mean, I would trade you for
Nope.
E.T.
Nope.
No, Ryan took E.T., right?
Ryan.
All right, Ryan, you're up.
Rocky 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way,
pitied a fool.
when I realized that was the second highest grossing movie of 1982, I was floored because it is
Listen.
the worst Rocky movie of the first 4 Rocky movies.
Oh, no. Clubber
This is
Lang.
Clubber Lang?
That's Clubber Lang.
No, it is.
That's Clubber Lang.
It is terrible.
No.
Oh, dude.
Did you pick First
Rocky-
Blood and
Rocky-
Rocky 3?
I think Rocky 3 is better than
You
Rocky 2.
picked 2 Stallone movies on your desert island? Do you know how quickly you're going to start talking like Sylvester Stallone?
You realize we're
Clearly
picking movies
better
from
than I can.
1982, right?
You can clearly talk better Sylvester Stallone than
Amazing.
I
All right, Ben, you're up.
can. So I get 2. I'm gonna do Tron, of course, naturally. Oh, don't be.
No, I'm kidding.
And I can't decide. These are all I've all done kind of. I feel like I should do. I'm gonna do Sophie's Choice. Actually, you know what?
That's
Oh,
a good
my
one.
Lord.
That's a good
God,
one.
we missed Sophie's Choice. Jeez.
All right, and now Ryan, your last one.
Oh God, I wasn't prepared for a 5th.
Just look at your list. There's something on your list.
Hold on. Never mind. I found a great one. This is gonna make your brain hurt, Matt. Can
Dark
you guess
Crystal.
what my last
Dark
one's
Crystal.
gonna be?
Dark Crystal. No.
Annie.
You fucking! How could you? How could you? You stole my 2 most seminal movies from 1982. Are you kidding me, Ryan? You did that just to mess with me, didn't you?
I really
I'd
did
already
pick
written it
Annie. I
down
really
on my
would pick
list.
Annie.
The palpable joy of Ryan's dance through the Zoom
Listen.
window.
I am
Listen,
upset
Matt,
with you
Matt,
right now. You have
Matt.
no idea. I can't continue
Matt,
the
listen.
podcast.
Now,
Listen,
Dark
Matt?
Crystal. Now,
Hold on, Matt. Listen. It's a hard knock life. You'll get over it.
now you just
I hate you more than I've ever hated you right now.
Well,
I can't even express the anger that's flowing through my body.
Well, Matt, you can just.
So yes, I'm gonna take the Dark Crystal because I'm gonna apparently spend eternity with the Skeksis instead of with adorable orphans and Carol Burnett doing nonsense to orphans.
It infuriates Matt that I have E.T.
You
and
said
Annie
Carol Burnett doing nonsense to
sandwiching-
I did
orphans.
say Carol Burnett doing nonsense to orphans.
It-
That's the log
Matt-
line of the movie.
Matt's gonna lose sleep knowing that I've got.
I am going to wake
E.T.
up in
and
a
Annie
cold sweat
sandwiching
tonight.
Sylvester Stallone
And knowing that Ryan is in his
movies.
hut watching. No, by the way, this is what's happening. Ryan's in a hut watching Rocky 3 for the 18th time, and Annie and E.T. are just collecting dust in the corner. He hasn't watched them in a year. He's forgotten they even exist. It's just a
Well,
Stallone fest.
Okay,
That is
okay.
offensive.
So we're to the last pick, I do believe, right? Okay,
Yes.
Dad, what's your 5th pick, and why is it Paul Schrader's Cat People?
That was kind of a dark, highly anticipated movie, if I'm remembering.
Oh, it definitely was.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go the opposite of that then. I'm going to go Hopeless Romantic.
I thought you were going to take
Officer and the Gentleman?
No, the man from Snowy River.
Oh, man,
Wow.
man
I thought
from-
you go for. I thought you were going to go for Officer and Gentleman too.
Yeah, so no Officer and a Gentleman on our list at all, which
Mayonnaise.
It's amazing.
Louis Gossett Jr., man.
Yeah, he won the Academy
won
Award
the Academy
for it.
Award, which we will, I'm sure, get to here.
Okay,
as we get to the topic.
so just to recap everybody's picks, Ben,
Yes.
I went with The Thing, Poltergeist, Diner, Tron, and Sophie's Choice. That is a really weird movie marathon. Ryan went with E.T., Porky's, First Blood, Rocky 3, and Annie.
That's a killer lineup.
That's even weirder.
That's a. I feel like I won that draft.
Matt went with Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Blade Runner, Wrath of Khan, The Secret of Nim, and Dark Crystal. You got a weird path on that one.
I'm happy with my path, other than the things that Ryan stole from my birthright.
And my dad went. Scott here went with the most heralded, I think, from a critical standpoint, Gandhi, Tootsie, The Verdict, My Favorite Year, and The Man from Snowy River, which I think that's a pretty solid lineup.
Pretty solid.
I mean, it looks like you know how you used to have the big giant thing that held all of your VHS tapes? That's kind of what it looked like when I opened it up.
Exactly right.
When I was a kid, I would be like, which one of these am I going to watch today?
I love it. That Ben, fantastic game. Ryan, I hate you. And let's get into the topic.
Yeah. So let's talk about.
I am both made and ruined Matt's day today.
But one of the reasons why I wanted to do this
I can't believe you took Annie. And
Matt,
E.T. I totally get E.T.
Matt,
but Annie.
I only had the opportunity to take Annie because you added a fifth round.
So that's the thing is like one of the reasons why I wanted to play this game is because I wanted to see where everybody's values lied within the films that they kind of prioritized that year. Because, for example, I don't think that The Thing is the best movie of 1982, but The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. And I'm like, I would act just like Matt did with Annie if somebody stole The Thing from me on that way back from round one.
And Ryan's right. I slept on Annie because I thought no man in their right mind in this room is going to pick Annie from me. Why even bother protecting it in front of Secret of Nim? I'm sure someone will take Secret of Nim before Annie.
I was going to take Secret of Nim actually on the way back. So
I
was going to take that instead of
Tron.
Tron.
And B, I contain multitudes, so leave me alone.
I contain multitudes. Let's just rename this episode I Contain Multitudes.
The same things that make me so angry and wanting to murder Ryan right now are also the same things that make me love Ryan unabashedly. And I'm so torn in this moment because I'm so happy he picked Annie, but I'm so fucking angry that he picked Annie.
So
let's funnel this anger towards a random Broadway musical teacher that I never heard of until 2 episodes ago that I now have immense beef with.
Immense beef.
We're going to talk about Betty Buckley for most of the summer. This is the
fucking
summer of Betty
Don't
Buckley.
sue me, please.
By the
Please
way,
don't sue me, Betty Buckley.
If any of you out there that listen to the podcast, if you have the ear of anyone, just tell everyone you know, hey, I've been listening to this podcast, and they're saying these really slanderous things about Betty Buckley because she is very litigious. And if we can get sued by Betty Buckley, it will put us on a radar far bigger than we have ever been on. And so we are actually actively trying to get sued by Betty Buckley, known child rapist Betty Buckley, and I'm sorry, allegedly.
So one of the things. So looking back, let's get to 1982.
Ben's trying to keep this train on the track. Matt's trying to take it straight to the courtroom. Like you're gonna get served before the show's over.
So here's the thing, though.
Because fuck Betty Buckley.
Allegedly.
I'm not sure that my dad went or did the exactly what I thought he was going to do, but he kind of made an interesting point for me just because you'll have better perspective on this than I think that we do. Obviously, we're younger, and so we watched a bunch of these movies. They're considered seminal classics that came from 1982. But when you think about like the heralded films, ironically, like Gandhi won how many Academy Awards did it win? 11?
It won almost
figures.
everything other than like a handful.
And Attenborough, who I love, won director. Kingsley won for Best Actor. nobody really talks about Gandhi anymore. Like nobody considers that like a seminal film of the 80s, I feel like. Do you? I mean, I don't think that happens. And Attenborough, maybe it's just because it's not a super influential film. Like it didn't really change. Like it's a well-made biopic.
I'll argue slightly against it in that I'm not a where my level of like film fanaticism comes from.
Right.
And so I'm not a film school side of things where I'm looking at things that are lauded or that are considered historically important. But from just a film nerd standpoint, Gandhi is a movie that's on my radar for no other reason other than it was a seminal movie of that year. Like there's no reason for me to know of Gandhi other than it exists in the pantheon of things that happened in that year that were big. It's not no, it did gross very well, actually.
Sure.
But from a standpoint, like there are people that know of Gandhi. They know about Ben. Like if you say Ben Kingsley, what's Ben Kingsley's most famous role? People are going to say Gandhi. So you kind of look at it from the standpoint of how famous is Ben Kingsley. If he's famous as much as Gandhi is famous because he is Gandhi. I don't know if that makes any sense to.
No, I guess that makes sense, but I like their movies I feel like had more sticking power in other years that were like those critically lauded films, the ones that won a ton of awards, and it's just like people look back on them.
I am not going to lie that the biggest surprise I had in the entirety of researching this podcast was how popular Rocky 3 was. And I'm not saying this just to like troll Ryan on this at all, but like Rocky 3 to me is easily the most ridiculous Rocky movie. It is the wrestler Rocky movie. It's silly to me. Rocky 4 though for me was that was the Rocky movie I saw in theaters, and I went.
But
with
it's got the Apollo reconciliation, that scene where they're fighting just for fun at the end.
But Rocky 4 has Apollo's death and Ivan Drago and all of these things. Like Rocky 3
Spoiler
is a footnote in the Rocky 3 is a footnote in the Rocky series to me. Like I find it. I thought I was very surprised how big it was.
Very powerful.
See, that's what I'm kind of interested
Mr. T was
it created Mr. T. Mr. T was an unknown before Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when Clubber Lang came and beat the little living crap out of Apollo Creed and said, "I pity the fool," I mean, that was
skyrocketed.
And this is the Hulk. Hulk Hogan's in this one too, or is he in 2?
No, he's in 3.
He's in 3. I forget his name in 3, but yeah. So that's interesting to me because I don't. So, all right. So this is one of the things I really wanted to get into in this podcast because we have 3 different kind of separate age groups here, and while it would seem that that Ben and Ryan and I are in kind of the same level, we're actually not because I'm 3 years older than you guys, which doesn't seem like a lot, but in 1982,
Matt is technically Generation X, and we are technically millennials.
Well, but it's also like where I was watching movies in the theater. Like I was going to see Rocky 4 in the theater. I saw E.T. in the theater. Like it was still playing in theaters by the time I went there. I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater. There were a lot of these movies that I was seeing in the theater at that time, and also seeing for the first time on VHS. But like right when they came out on VHS, that maybe you guys weren't necessarily like Wrath of Khan was something I watched at our house when I was 4.5 years old.
Fantastic.
I remember like
Seems a little heavy for a 4.5-year-old.
Here's the problem with all of this.
All I can see is Matt at 4.5 running around the house yelling. Ah!
So you're not wrong at all. So
I know I was saying I can see that happening.
My parents had zero filter for anything we watch other than we needed to watch it together. Other than the things I would stay up late to watch on HBO and Cinemax, like Bachelor Party and Splash. Actually, we watched Splash together, but Bachelor Party we did not. But there were a lot of these movies. Like I remember watching Alien on VHS in our living room. And I was eating literally a bowl of fettuccine Alfredo during the scene with the chest burster where they're eating pasta, and it messed me up quite a bit. And my mom was like, "This is funny." Like, these were the reactions to these things.
So now, like, you have this like Pavlovian response that every time you eat fettuccine Alfredo, an alien bursts out of your stomach.
I have not comfortably eaten fettuccine Alfredo in 30 years, and that's not a joke. Like, it is very much ingrained in my memory. But like,
uncomfortably eat fettuccine Alfredo.
So
what are you like in the back seat of?
I'm kind of getting sick right at the moment.
So what's interesting about this is that we are the VHS generation, right? The three of us very much are a VHS generation. So a lot of these movies that we're going to talk about from 1982, we did not see first run. We saw them maybe the first time in VHS, but even for you guys, probably several years after they were even kind of released on VHS.
Yeah, most of them I found in my dad's chest full of VHS tapes.
Yeah.
And
Matt,
I watched
you'd
Dark
have to.
Crystal because that's all my grandma had at her house.
Mm-hmm.
I take a little offense to that, but
Scott had other VHS in there that Ben won't talk about.
Ryan's grandmother had great taste.
Yeah,
she had Dark
But Matt, you make a
Crystal
good
and-
point because I did see Gandhi in the theater, and I'm telling you, especially that opening scene it's stunning. And I don't know where Gandhi rates in the top 100 films of all time or whatever.
It's not on AFI's top 100 films.
Really?
No.
Gandhi. No. Oh, it would have to be.
Don't think so.
Oh my God! I mean, it's a very powerful film. I mean, I'm gonna.
So hold on one second
I think
though.
it stands up.
Hold on one second though. What is a more influential film, Gandhi or Blade Runner?
Blade Runner
Blade
from
Runner.
a
Blade Runner is a more influential film.
Standpoint.
Blade Runner was a flop, an absolute disaster that nobody liked when it came out.
That's right.
The Thing was an absolute flop that nobody liked when it came out. I would argue that those movies have more cultural relevance nowadays than Gandhi does.
I'm going to argue against The Thing.
I don't think so. I think that The Thing created a new genre. As far as it took the next step of that Alien took, and it allowed Cameron to do what Cameron did, basically, in my opinion. But
Gandhi was my generation's what Churchill was, a couple of years ago.
Churchill
or
Darkest Hour.
Darkest Hour.
Well, see, Darkest Hour. I don't think that's going to hold any real cultural relevancy. It's a great performance. It's an excellent movie.
Yeah.
I love the writing and everything along those lines. I'm saying like the epic films, and I'm not saying that like epic films don't have a place like in that kind of like really culturally relevant types of conversations. I'm saying for specifically Gandhi. And specifically this year, I found it really interesting. I'm not trying to degrade Gandhi because it's an amazing movie. Like I said, I love Richard Attenborough, and I love the presentation of that movie. But I found it interesting looking through the list of films that came out the year, and it seems like the most influential films are all films that flopped to me. Besides like E.T. Okay, I mean, like you can get the E.T. of it out of the way because E.T. is E.T. Like E.T. is beyond a phenomenon. Like it is.
But didn't sweep any of the awards.
No.
Are you so Ben?
And won technical awards.
I'm going to put words in your mouth just because it's funny to me, and I know you don't feel this, but the log line for this podcast is Ben Wilson says Gandhi is the crash of its times.
Oh God! Please no.
I mean, not dissimilar sentiments to say that one of them, they both swept at the Oscars but had zero cultural impact amongst the more popular films of that year.
Lex Luthor this is his villain turn.
I would fight you over that one. No comparison.
I only say
Lord
that
have
because it makes
mercy.
me just as angry as it makes Ben right now, but it's also very, very
I'm
funny.
just saying, like, for me, like, Gandhi isn't Lawrence of Arabia. Let me just put it that way.
Okay.
Like, does that make sense?
No, it does. I'm honestly, I'm very torn on this because in my head, so if you tell me what are barring this podcast, right, and you say, what are the biggest movies in 1982? I'm not going to remember most of them other than I knew E.T. Like, that was at the top of my head. I'm like, I knew E.T. off the top of my head came out in 82. Everything else I had to look up. But when I looked them up, I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh yeah, Gandhi is at the top of this list alongside E.T. for me for just popular, well done, well received movies. I guess I don't know that I feel that it's as slept on as something like, and this is going to be very blasphemous to say this, because one of these is literally in our pop culture lexicon when you call something a Sophie's Choice. But I think there are more people that know about Gandhi at this point than know about Sophie's Choice, other than the phrase Sophie's Choice. Like, I don't think they know that movie, but they know the Gandhi movie.
If you've ever seen Sophie's Choice, you know.
I don't know. Do they know the Gandhi movie
it's
as much as they just know Gandhi?
But I think it's synonymous, though. I really feel it very much is to me. Like, again, it's like,
I would.
Does anyone know, if anyone knows who Ben Kingsley is, they know him from Gandhi. Like that's the one I kind of go back to. But I listen.
And again, maybe
maybe
that's the generational gap there too.
Yeah,
like
I do agree, yeah.
I saw Gandhi, but it never, like, Gandhi didn't stick with me. Besides the fact that it's like, oh, it's a great performance, and it's, you know, and that maybe that's
know him from Iron Man.
Well, no, yeah. and what's funny to me is
that guy from Iron Man 3 won an Academy Award.
So like when I was a kid, like during this time period, the movie out of all of these, other than like Annie and E.T., which were like things I watched regularly, the movie that had the biggest like name recognition, like brand recognition for me was Tootsie. Like I knew about Tootsie and I knew about Dustin Hoffman because of Tootsie.
And you want to hear a really interesting thing that I didn't look this up, but I swear that this is true. When Titanic was the #1 movie for 13 weeks in a row, the movie it beat out was Tootsie. Tootsie came out at a weird
and now we have a problem with drag queens. I get it.
Right. Tootsie came out at some weird time of year where nothing else like that came out, and it just had staying power, and it stayed at #1 at the box office for like 12 straight weeks. And I still think that Tootsie.
I guess it was Rocky 3.
Yeah.
Oh, what just happened?
But Rocky 3 was a summer movie because Tootsie came out in like January, and I think that's what ended up happening is it came out in what's considered a dead period for movies, or something like that. It like came out in February. What's wrong, Matt?
No, keep going.
Oh, okay. And
video feed from y'all cut out.
Yeah. I'll fix it.
So, anyways, there was apparently this like dead period where Tootsie was the #1 movie, and it held that record for a really long time. But Tootsie, I was amazed actually looking back through the Academy Award nominations how much love Tootsie actually got, and that was Sidney Pollack who directed that film.
And that was when Jessica Lange got her Oscar for Tootsie. Did. And Jessica Lange, by the way,
is it wrong to look at Lange?
This is a weird anecdote to share outside of school, but it's one of my favorite things ever. Our friend who listens to the podcast, my good friend Helgi, we're both big fans of the movie Big Fish, and there's a scene with Jessica Lange. It's a very innocuous scene with her and Albert Finney in a bathtub, and this is in like 2001, 2002. Big Fish, I believe, was that year, and we both got in the movie, and I was like, Jessica Lange still got it. Like still that scene made me feel things. Really made me feel things. Jessica Lange is a all-time beauty and great actress, but I think you're right. I think Tootsie, for me, probably should have more cultural impact, but I also feel
I think it does.
I think we're so removed, though, that if we were to like poll people 10 years younger than us right now and be like, just tell me, do you recognize the name of any of these movies? How many of them are going to pick Tootsie or Gandhi at this point?
You know, I think a lot more people are going to recognize Tootsie than would recognize Gandhi, though, or like it's something that they potentially have seen.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're definitely right about Blade Runner. That's like a culturally. Now, I will say there's less people that probably know The Thing. And by the way,
I think Fast Times at Ridgemont High is going to tick more boxes for people.
I think so too. What's funny about The Thing is, The Thing was one of those movies that for some reason. Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, we're talking about movies that people are going to recognize now that have kind of stuck around in the zeitgeist. It's Fast Times. We are talking about E.T., Poltergeist, even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I think those more than what we're talking about.
Well, the reason why Poltergeist is because Poltergeist could be released today and it still fucking holds up. It's one of the most effective like horror family drama. Like it's just an effective movie.
And I am going to defend the remake of Poltergeist because I don't think it's a perfect film, but I think it is far better than people give it credit.
It does not
for
need
being.
to exist, though.
It doesn't need to exist, but I'm still into it. I still think it works well. I think what's interesting when you're looking at this time period, though, of kind of like looking at things like Blade Runner is a really interesting one because obviously that's something that for filmmaking and the pop culture and everything, this was such a big moment versus if I'm talking about something that affected me more, Wrath of Khan was way more influential to me than Blade Runner was. I know that's like ridiculous to say it, but
I can't not picture little Matt.
You guys laugh about that, but my dad locked me in a closet with Wrath of Khan and wouldn't let me come out until I had memorized it.
Hold on, we're getting into some deep trauma here.
Yeah, I know, just deep
I will
trauma.
not lie to you. The moment the earwig crawls into that man's ear and starts controlling him, it was the birth of every neuroses I've ever had from then until now and in far into the future for me.
I remember the first Star Trek film I saw was Voyage Home, I think because I saw it right when it came out. I was old enough at that point to appreciate or to understand the Star Trekness of the Star Trek universe.
This is
The second movie I saw was Wrath of Khan, which my dad showed me. And I still remember, because I'm watching them out of order, and I still hadn't gone back to revisit the show or anything along those lines. But the very beginning where Chekhov is like, Botany Bay, oh no. And I'm like, what's wrong with this guy? Like, he is really upset about something. And I remember being like terrified of this, like, oh no. What? So
that's why Ben hates cruises.
Yeah, still can't go on cruises.
So it's really there's some other things going on in 1982, and one of the things I really liked that Ken did for us last time, which I thought was kind of interesting, is somewhat of setting the table of what 1982 is. So obviously for you guys, it's the year you were born. I was 3 in 1982, so I was not running around doing much things other than yelling Khan. Pretty much that's all that was going on. But I thought there were some interesting things that what Ken did last time. He talked about what were the stars that were born in 1982 and the stars that died in 1982 to put things in a little bit of perspective for us. So died in 1982, and this is going to sound weird. I'm so happy this was the first one that showed up on my list. But friend of the podcast, Paul Lind, passed away in 1982. Henry Fonda, Ingrid Bergman, Lee Strasberg, Jack Webb of Dragnet fame, Grace Kelly, Marty Feldman from the Mel Brooks films, especially Young Frankenstein, John Belushi in 82, Philip K. Dick in 1982, which is kind of amazing when we talk about things like Blade Runner and sci-fi and what's going on in there. But even more interesting in 1982 are things that happened. The Thriller music video was released in 1982, which was a gigantic part of, I'm sure, all of our childhoods out here. David Letterman's Late Show premiered in 1982, and Epcot opened in 1982. These are all things that happened in that year. And then
Cal Ripken Jr. started his consecutive game streak.
That's amazing.
Wait, say that again.
Nick
Cal
would be
Ripken Jr. started his consecutive game streak.
Nick would be so proud of you right now. He's just. I think that Nick is in Chile, and I don't mean that as a.
He's interrupting me somewhere in spirit.
He's literally in Chile, and he's just like, I just feel like I have to interject for some reason. I'm sorry. I don't know who he's talking with, but he just started arguing with them.
He's calling in right now.
What's so funny is I was just about to segue into the stars that were born in 82, and they are a who's who of Nick's crushes over time. Whether it is, we can look at Kobe Smulders, born in 1982. We can look at Ali Bree, born in 1982. We can talk about, we brought her up in the podcast recently, Lizzie Kaplan, born in 1982, Anne Hathaway in 1982. Then we have the men, Seth Rogen, Eddie Redmayne. Who else I have on here?
Gosling 82?
Gosling is not 82, at least on my. Patrick Fugit is 82. Brian Tyree Henry, 82. Nick's favorite crush, Ali Wong, 1982.
Oh, God.
And now he's calling in right now. I'm sure he could hear me right now, and he's calling in. He's very angry. Gillian Jacobs, 1982. Jenny Slate. And my favorite thing, so I'm researching everyone in 1982, and I'm just marking them off the list and writing them down in here. And then all of a sudden, one pops up in the list amongst all of the others, and it says Tom Cruise. So I start typing out Tom Cruise, and I go, wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. And then and next to his name it says 1962. But somehow, through the magic of Scientology, his name, if you Google famous people born in 1982, Tom Cruise shows up on that Google list. Just smushed in there towards the it's sneaky. It's not at the top or even in the middle. It's just kind of squished at the bottom of you know who might have been born this year? Might be Tom Cruise. You know he did those real stunts.
You're leaving out the most famous Culkin brother, Kieran.
Kieran Culkin was born in 82. That is correct. He's on my list. Jay Baruchel. There's a lot. Jenny Slate.
I know, but I'm more impressed with present company than that list.
Your favorite Alexander Hamilton reference, David Diggs, was in it too.
God damn it, Brian! You've won yourself over for me tonight. I literally put David Diggs on here and a note to say throw that in Ryan's face. No, so there were also Ben Roethlisberger. I know we're looking for people we all love out here. So Ben Roethlisberger, born in 1982 as well. So super famous, great person. No.
No.
Nobody. No. All right, got it. All right, so back to the movies. So Scott, for you,
Yvonne Strahovski.
Yes. So Scott,
Natalie
for you,
Dormer. I'm just looking at 1982.
So Scott, what do you think of the 1982 Paul Schrader film Cat People? I'm sorry.
No, what I was about to say was, when Ben mentioned 1982, I started, looking at the list of films, and there are so many really extraordinary films that were released that year. I mean, films that should be on everybody's watch list, like Das Boot, is a film worth.
Wait, Das Boot came out in 82?
I had it in 82.
Das Boot was on my list of top grossers, and then I think I realized it did come. I think it is when it came out.
It came out in 81, maybe.
Okay. Francis.
Francis, that did come out in 82.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You were having a Jessica Lange crush. And, I mean,
she was nominated for the Academy Award for Francis.
I'm sure, and then turned around and won it.
And she was nominated in two
Twice.
two categories.
Yeah.
She won in one category and was nominated.
Diners.
But I said, Diner was on my list of the thing.
Your Island movies.
Yeah,
when that was on my draft.
And Arthur. Was Arthur released 82?
I think it grossed that more that year.
Arthur,
but it was a holiday release in 81.
Arthur was 81. Yeah, so this is a really interesting thing actually for 82. This is one of the things I wanted to actually kind of ask Scott about, because especially at that time, a lot of things, because there were less movies coming out, there were a lot of things that carried over year to year. So if you talk about the top grossing movies from 1982, there are a lot of movies that were not released in 1982 that were actually the highest grossing for 82, including Chariots of Fire.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Chariots of Fire. Raiders of the Lost Ark was not on the top 10, but we do have On Golden Pond was, I believe, not from that year that was on there. A New Hope, the original Star Wars movies, was still that was number 6 that year at the box office, was A New Hope, in terms of gross. We had a one that has not come up on our list yet. This is, oddly enough, a movie that was watched around my house multiple times, and this is probably maybe why I never got into Rocky or Rambo, because there was another Sylvester Stallone movie released that year.
Wait.
Oh, let's do it, Scott.
Oh.
Let's do it.
And this actually was released in 82, is what
Absolutely. It's a musical.
Nighthawks. Oh,
No.
no, it's a musical.
It's a musical.
Best Little Whorehouse. What?
That is correct.
Yeah,
It's the best little whorehouse in Texas.
you're saying. Also an Academy Award nominee.
That was number 9 grossing
Fighting
of 1982.
Some
The
Texas
best.
A&M conversations in there.
And listen, when we get to number 6 on our list, because I lost Annie, I'd be forced to take Sylvester Stallone singing to get my musical in for that time period and get the best little whorehouse. So thanks, Ryan, for that one. But yeah, Chariots of Fire was number 10. That was a 1981 movie. And then Raiders was 12. Raiders was 12 from 1 year before. 2
All
years
right.
before.
Was the Elephant Man released in 82?
Alien Man was 81, but did not
okay.
gross
Got it.
on 82.
All right.
But yeah, it was very interesting to see how many movies carried over to. It's impossible nowadays, almost impossible. There are some that will get into the top 10 that get released maybe towards the end of the year, but like I think Raiders wasn't even
It was a summer release.
It was a summer movie that was still grossing number 1 movie a year later into 82, which is it's just kind of a sign of what was happening in the times there. But there's also some weird movies that like came up on my list that I was like in my head I assumed were much earlier. So like Pink Floyd's The Wall came out in 82. I assumed that was a 70s movie in my head. Like I've always in my head canon that's a 70s movie to me, but that was 1982. That might be and so another one for me that was when we talk about things that are like seminal in my childhood, this is a weird one, which was Creep Show.
Creep Show is actually on my list to talk about.
Yep.
Creep Show was my introduction to Stephen King because Stephen King inspired like a couple of the things on there, and I think The Raft. I don't know if The Raft was in Creep Show 2 or Creep Show 1, but that was kind of my introduction to anthology horror, which like so things like The Thing, which is funny to me. So Ben would always talk to me about The Thing when we were like first becoming friends, and I would always just nod and be like, "Yeah, that's a great movie." I had not seen The Thing when I first met Ben in 2009. And to the point which I bought The Thing unseen from Blockbuster. I still have the Blu-ray that I bought of The Thing because I had lied to Ben so many times about having seen it that I realized I probably should watch it. And then I was like, this movie's amazing. But I watched that movie for the first time in 2010 in my apartment in Boynton.
Wow.
I had not seen that movie before.
Some pretty incredible practical effects. Still some of the most effective effects.
It's super amazing, but like that's what's also kind of funny to me when we try to figure out, because it's hard to get into the headspace of what was popular or seminal or important from the time. Because for me, I'd always heard about The Thing, but I never watched it.
Well, again, Blade Runner and The Thing and even Creep Show, actually, to a pretty big extent, were all movies that found their audiences on video. Like they found their audiences years later and through repetition and more people saying, actually, this is a really great movie. And actually, like this is really worth, whatever. I think that a lot of people consider Blade Runner the best science fiction film of all time. I mean, that's not my opinion, but I understand why people think that because it certainly influenced pretty much everything that came after it.
But I think so in my head, at least, and this doesn't, I'm not the be all end all of this. Blade Runner to me is so far ahead of everything else you talked about there in terms of like pop culture importance. Like Blade Runner and The Thing are like completely removed to me in terms of like people looking back on things that they would recognize.
I don't.
For me, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Blade Runner is Blade Runner. Obviously, yeah. I think a lot of people would call it like if you could go back and redo all of the Academy Award nominees for that year, it would be full. Blade Runner would be a 13-time nominee, but. Then The Thing probably would not be. But when it comes to cultural relevance, I think that you're understating. I would put The Thing and Poltergeist right next to one another as far as cultural relevance.
That's super interesting to me. Like, and to me, yeah, both The Thing and Poltergeist are so far to me in that conversation, The Thing plays more like District 9 as compared to Inception and something else from that year, and that from 20 years from now, people we're going to be geeking out about District 9 and about how amazing what they did with CGI and everything on that, but the general public is going to have forgotten about that movie. Not that I think Carpenter's a much better consistent filmmaker than Blomkamp, but I think they're similar in their kind of look back on time.
Yeah, well, but I think that those are a little bit more than like, for example, Creep Show to me that's a cult classic.
Yeah.
Like Creep Show is definitely a cult classic. It's a movie that's off the mainstream for me. That's a total geek movie. But I think that The Thing entered sort of popular conscience. Like people realized what The Thing was. Just late and not. I don't mean. I mean that later in the '80s, it gained cultural relevancy to the point where I think it had some staying power. That's all I meant.
No,
to say.
I honestly, I'm not. It's not really an argument against it. I think it's one of those movies. It didn't pop up for me, but I don't think I can discount.
I just meant
relevance.
like Poltergeist was popular when it came out, and The Thing was not.
No,
but I think that they're equally. Like I would consider.
There's
them
lots
on the
of
same
Poltergeist
plane today.
sequels and less sequels for The Thing until like 30 years later.
Well, but again, that goes back to my whole thing about how many movies that were super influential, sort of for later generations and later filmmakers that came out that year. Secret of NIMH was a bomb, and I think it's Don Bluth's best film.
Also, if you ask anyone in the last 30 years about Secret of NIMH, they don't. That movie is not. It's not there anymore for anyone. It's sad. It's sad but true. But like,
that movie is way off the radar.
People don't know. Have you shown that to the girls, by the way?
I tried to, but they were too young, I think.
Yeah.
If I tried again now, they would probably like it. And then Dark Crystal also. Dark Crystal was a bomb. I remember like there was didn't like Henson and Company or like Henson and Frank Oz like get into a bunch of like they were like in financial trouble because of the failure of Dark Crystal.
I think Labyrinth somewhat sort of resurrected them, but honestly, what saved them was when Henson died. It's a terrible thing to say, but like, he died and brought people like love upon the Muppet community to be like, we want to make this continue to be a thing, and I think it actually saved them from it. But neither of those movies were huge hits. And then Dark Crystal got remade by Netflix, which was it was a phenomenally good series. It made it one season. It did not like. If you want to talk about things that should have that like maybe had name brand recognition and should have done well, that series is as good as anything Netflix has done, and it just didn't sell for them.
Here's a movie. So I've never seen My Favorite Year, but it was nominated for a bunch of.
So good.
Peter O'Toole.
Peter O'Toole
was.
Scott, tell us about My Favorite Year.
It's about a washed-up English actor who is recruited. It's about a what do they call it?
Stunt casting.
It's about a variety show, an evening variety show that's cast in the 60s. Might be late 50s, and their ratings are foundering, so they bring in this old washed up legend, actor, swashbuckling actor, and it's the character is played by Peter O'Toole, and this one young guy has to shepherd him. He's a notorious womanizer, alcoholic, party guy, and an old guy, and this young man has to take care of him the whole time, and his only job is to get him onto stage sober, for the variety show, and that's the whole setup, and it's unbelievably funny and poignant, and Peter O'Toole's incredible in it. So
it's interesting. So I
recommend it.
I know my mom had like tried to put that on for me, and I think the guy that is loosely based on Errol Flynn, who was like famous for playing Robin Hood back in the day. But it's funny. It's very similar to a movie that I know Ben and I have talked about before that not a lot of people got into, and I have to look up the name for it because I always forget the name. But it's Malkovich and Colin Hanks, and he plays the magician. It's not the Great Buck Henry, but it's something like that. It's similar to that, but there's a very similar kind of movie that played out in the early 2000s, which the name of it is
The Great
called
Buck Howard.
Great, yes, exactly. The Incredible Buck Howard. But very similar ideas
The Great
to it.
Buck Howard.
The Great Buck Howard. Just also a really good plot to put into movies at any point in any time. Because what's great about it is that you're like, so the idea that they're doing this movie in 82 that's based on Errol Flynn, who's a star from 30 years earlier, and then doing something similar to that where you're doing Malkovich and you're doing Colin Hanks and doing that stuff. I'm always kind of interested in looking at those generational gaps in terms of how do people try to get in a collective audience of young and old and new and old kind of things in there.
I have a question. There's a movie we haven't mentioned, and it may well have been
Annie.
No. Reds. Was it released in 82?
No, it wasn't.
I don't think it was. Good. That was not on my list, but I could.
Hey,
I can't.
Hey, Ryan, how many times did you watch Porky's before you were the age of 13?
Oh, plenty. And then plenty more after that.
It says a lot. It speaks volumes.
But I also I fully
red-blooded American man.
I fully accept. Again, that comes back to, especially around the age of 12, 13, 14, exploiting the weakness that I saw in my father's love of that generation of comedy, where I was like, not only is this fun to watch, it's got boobs, and my dad does not question me watching it.
So I would be remiss if I did not talk about this movie, because this was a
I think it's a good wrap up here.
Yes, so this was a film series in my youth that we watched. I did not know that the first of them came out in 1982, because we didn't really get to them until the sequel was out, which I believe, let me see the year of the sequel.
It came out the same year.
that
was back when
they just had them ready to roll.
That was back when they were just like, it's a 17-day shooting schedule. We can get this out this year.
No, all right. So there was a 5-year gap between the original and the sequel to this, and that is jarring to me, because this is a movie that probably no one else in this room is really going to know, and I can't believe it took them 5 years to realize maybe we should dust this one off the shelf, because it probably didn't make a big thing. But in 1982, the first of a series released called Slumber Party Massacre #1.
My God.
And Slumber Party Massacre 2 came out in 1987. And I know this because in 1987, my 4th grade friends and I figured out a way to rent both Slumber Party 2 and Slumber Party 1 at a slumber party of our own. And the reason being was not because we were fans of film or horror or anything. It was the slumber party of it. It could have been called Slumber Party Pillow Fight. We would also have rented that movie, or Slumber Party.
I know why you want to rent that movie.
Yeah. Slumber Party, MD. We'd be like, oh, these girls are putting themselves through medical school.
I've seen that one too.
That would be great. I think this is perfect.
Don't stop looking at my search history, Matt.
But I have seen, so the Slumber Party 2, by the way, Slumber Party Massacre 2, features a man with a guitar that has a corkscrew on the end of it that is his
weapon of choice
implement. It's a lot, guys. I'm not gonna lie. It was a little more. I think I was more geared towards Slumber Party Massacre 1, but I wasn't ready for Slumber Party Massacre 2. But I cannot believe, just looking at this now, that the second one, I don't know, how do you release that in 82?
Yeah,
then 4 years go by, probably 4.5 years, because the second one looked like it took about 3 weeks to shoot at someone's house.
I mean, because I think the reason why I think that's crazy is because I'm pretty sure that the original Friday the 13th came out in 80, and the second one came out in 81. And the third one came out in 82.
You are correct that number 3 was in 82.
They literally came out one a year for 4 years.
And I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty sure 5 was 2 years after that, because that was a seminal moment in my life where I drank my mom's tab, and she had ashed a cigarette into it, and it ruined my entire summer, because it was the worst thing I ever tasted.
Shit.
And I'm like, this tab tastes terrible.
This tab tastes terrible.
Matt, it doesn't.
Don't hate on
surprise
tab.
me that it took them 5
don't hate
years
on
to
tab.
release a new Slumber Party Massacre. I feel like the large constituency of their funding came from groups of young men trying to rent them under the cover of disguise for slumber parties. It's not a real big fundraising
No,
effort there.
It's not that like it's not that like it took it's just the idea of like why of all the properties 5 years later that they could have resurrected, they're like, I guess let's make a second one of Dartboard.
Yeah.
Slumber Party Massacre.
Yeah, they
It's about
decide
time.
they wait 28 years.
13-year-old boys have been waiting for this one.
Yeah, they wait 28 years to make the next Tron movie, which we didn't even talk about Tron.
We didn't talk about Tron.
That's okay. We can talk.
We didn't talk about Tron. And Tron made no one's list.
No, Tron was on my list.
Did it make your? It was on your.
Yeah, it was on my Desert Island list.
How far into yours?
It was my third pick.
Oh,
no, it was my fourth pick. No, it was my fourth pick because you took Secret of Nim, which was good. My last two picks were going to be Secret of Nim and Tron.
Yeah, I won that one. But I mean, I like Tron, but I don't need to watch that again.
Well, yeah, I will readily admit that Tron is probably not the greatest movie of all time, but
it was pretty groundbreaking.
It was pretty groundbreaking.
But if I'm on a desert island for like 30 years, I'm not watching Tron more than once.
He'd rather have Annie or E.T.
Yeah.
But I have them.
It's just spinning out of control.
Hey, listen, you guys sing your musical songs and play with your aliens. I'm going to be riding around on my light cycle, okay?
I am going to be busy.
You can take Grease 2 for your musical fix.
Yeah.
I don't want Grease 2.
Wait, if the cast can come with you, then yes, Michelle Pfeiffer can come to the...
Guys, why would I
Desert
watch
Island
Grease
with
2
me.
What about Cats? Cats started in 1982, and you can have that.
And Cat People. Oh my God, we've now closed the loop.
Matt's
Matt's
Island has a theme.
Why would I ever watch Grease
Guys.
2 when I'm appearing in Grease 1 at the Delray Beach Playhouse in August and in September of next month?
Well, thanks everybody for joining this week. Hey, this will be the last time I'm on the podcast for a while, so this was fun. This was a nice one.
It'll probably be the last time I'm on the podcast for a while too, for totally different reasons.
I'll trade you another airing of the podcast for Annie, and you decide when you want to come back.
I'm good.
No, we will. So the good news is that the good news is Ben is going to get patched up and healthy out in Texas of all places. Who knew they
God's
had
country.
medical science out there? But they do, and then in the meantime, we're
just not reproductive science.
No, that doesn't exist. No, we were going to have a lot of. We're going to be filling in the gaps for Ben. It's a dark joke.
Oh my God.
It's a really dark joke.
Abort.
I just started laughing because I look up at Ryan and he's cracking up. I'm like,
because Ryan was sitting on the abort.
I'm not going to be on. I'm not going to be on the podcast indefinitely because I have now been canceled.
This is true. Yeah, so Ben's not allowed on. Or the fact is, we did record a podcast that may air after this one that I don't know if it's airable, and that's saying a lot because we air pretty much anything on the show. But
you put out some pretty bad stuff.
No, Ryan, you have to join the podcast because we need people to fill in.
This is true.
Or my dad can just zoom in.
We need warm bodies. That is the most welcome I've ever felt.
And I will say also, I've been amassing different people like the Avengers that are polar opposites of one another, and I kind of want to start putting you all together in a room to talk with one another about shit, because I think it's going to be, at least for me, I'm going to be super entertained by it. So I will moderate. So we will have.
Who am I beefing with?
I mean, I need you and JB on a podcast together, because you're either going to get along so well that you team up on me, or you're going to go way off the rails the opposite way. Either way, it's going to be great radio.
It's going off the rails one way. Like, that's not a question.
No, but yeah, we will have episodes coming up throughout the summer with new people and new faces and new voices. Scott, again, thank you so much for coming in tonight and meet with us. Scott and I are about to watch The Verdict. Because it's a Monday night at 10:20, and what do?
We'll just
throw on The Verdict.
Well, just remember, you can watch half of it, and then you can get up early, get your coffee, and just
But how will I know what the verdict is?
That's how you reach the verdict. You just need,
Oh no,
Scott, I wish I was going to be in Houston with you, so I could join you for another margarita.
Man, we'll miss you, but gonna take care of business.
It's always a fun time introducing Ben's family to portions of Houston and things like Tex-Mex.
Very good barbecue. Thank you.
Well, I'll be sneaking over to Ben's house and sneaking Scott old fashions after the girls are put down each night. So
That's a good idea.
We'll figure this out.
So wait, sneaking the girls' old fashions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that. That's not legal.
How dare you?
We're about to have another one.
No, stop it, Ryan. Stop it, Ryan. Stop it right now. Well, thank you so much for listening to the New Wave Podcast. We're back with new episodes all summer long, and we'll talk to you next time. We say it together.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Come pie.